This is the beginning of a Lakota Sioux cosmogonic or creation myth. Would you like to read along with me? As I read and you follow along, try not to get too bogged down with intricate detail. See if you can discern a pattern from the beginning to the end of this myth segment. Here goes. In the beginning was Inyan, stone, who had no beginning. For he there, when there was no other, only Hanhepe, the darkness. Inyan was soft and shapeless, but he was everywhere, and he had all the powers. These powers were in his blood, and his blood was blue. His spirit was Wakantanka. Inyan desired that there be others so that he might exercise his powers, but there could be no others unless he created them from himself. To do so, he would have to give part of his spirit and part of his blood, and the powers that were in the blood. So he decided to create another, but only as part of himself, so that he could keep control over the powers that were in the blood. He took part of himself and spread it over and around himself in the shape of a great disk. He named the disk Maka, the earth, and he gave Maka a spirit, Maka Skan, earth spirit, and she is part of Inyan. But in creating her, he took so much from himself that his veins opened and all his blood flowed from him, and he shrank and became hard and powerless. As Inyan's blood flowed, it became the blue waters which are on the earth. Because powers cannot live in water, they separated themselves and became a great blue dome, whose edge is near the edge of Maka. This blue dome of the powers of the blood of Inyan is now the sky, and is not material, but is the spirit of Takuskanskan, the Great Spirit. When these powers assumed one shape, they said a voice spoke saying, I am the source of energy. I am Skan. This was the beginning of the third of the sacred beings, who is the highest of all because he is spirit. Inyan and Maka are material, and the world of matter has no powers except what are given by Skan. Skan then creates light, and fourth sacred being, we, the sun. He gathers the other sacred beings and says to them, I, Skan, and you, Inyan, Maka, and we, are four, but we are only one, and that one is Wakantanka, which no one can understand. Each of us is part of Wakantanka, which is incomprehensible. Now, beyond all of the sacrificial and colorful detail, think about numbers as your clue. What number does this myth start with, and how many are there at the end of this mythic segment? The myth starts with a type of oneness, and at the end there are four things. But the four things are actually how many? Yes, the four are one. What a mythically creative way of describing a beginning diversity while holding on to the ideal of monism.